Dumb football questions. We got a few coming in here from the YouTube section. We've got some people. I think we're going to include whenever you guys leave a comment on the Apple Podcast page with your favorite random offensive lineman, we will include those in dumb football questions.
Yes.
Immortal Eagle says, my favorite random offensive lineman is John Wojciechowski. He was first team All Big Ten his senior year at Michigan State. So he was an offensive lineman back in so he's currently 60 years old, went to Michigan State back in the early to mid 1980s. John Wojciechowski.
That a boy. What a name too, right? That's
Dude,
an all lineman name.
That's
Wojciechowski.
I think he's in the Packers front office. Is this the same guy? He's the director of player personnel for the Packers.
I was going to say the name sounds very familiar, dude.
Okay.
I think we've
Yep.
I think we've talked to him. Yeah.
I've 100% talked to him.
I'm like, dude, I know this guy. Yes.
That's awesome.
Wait, there's also a jazz musician named John Wojciechowski too. So I don't know. Maybe this dude specializes in the jazz flute when he's not evaluating offensive linemen.
The Yaz flute.
The Yaz flute.
Yeah, I think this is the guy. He's from Detroit, Michigan. Played at Michigan State, undrafted 1986. He's a Buffalo Bill. Jeremiah,
Hey.
you guys.
Yep.
Drafted the year before I was born.
The boys in blue.
And then Chicago Bears, 1987 to 1993. During the
Grinded
he
it
played
out.
with Jim Harbaugh.
Grinded it out, baby.
That a boy.
That's a great name. Great offensive line name.
John Wojciechowski. And then Eloso3135 says his favorite random offensive lineman is Mark Stepnoski, the 90s Cowboys starting center.
Yeah, I remember him.
Mark Stepnoski.
I remember Mark as well.
What's another great offensive
dirty
lineman?
grinder.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, was he the one that like taped his whole forearm?
Yes,
Who was
I'm
that?
pretty sure.
I mean, I can't remember. There was an old Dallas center that like the wrist tape went like halfway up to the elbow.
He definitely had
awesome.
huge chunks of tape on his wrist.
Yes,
and he had the flowing hair as well.
Yes, that was him. That was him. That just had the massive forearm tape.
Mark Stepnoski. Let's go. Okay, let's see here. From Aaron on the YouTube comments. How tired do players get toward the end of games? How does fatigue factor in toward the end of football games?
Tired. I mean, fatigue definitely is a factor. Like I mean, I think any player would lie to you and say fatigue doesn't play a factor. But the difference is, can you push through the fatigue better than the other person? Right? Everyone's tired. It's a physical game, right? It's a physical game, and if you're running like a 2-minute situation as an offensive lineman, you're gassed, right? Like you're toast, and it's game on the line. Can you gut it out? But so much of that comes back to like how well have you prepared, how well are you ready for that moment, and how clearly can you mentally think? Because the body, you can will the body to do anything, right? Like, and I say that tongue in cheek a little bit, but like if you're an elite athlete and you're in the high pressure situation, you can will your body to do crazy things when you think you can't do it anymore. And I can't pass that one more time. My legs are going to give out. Mentally, you can say like, you can shove that inner bitch down and be like, nope, not happening. But where guys,
this is me on like the 30-minute Peloton rides, minute 27.
100%.
Come on, Phil, you got this,
right?
Dennis
Like
Morton's got you. He's got
yeah, 100%.
He's a Dennis Morton rider.
I think the fatigue makes a coward of us all mentally. Is the coach? I can't remember what coach said that, but like that was a thing because it's not as much you can will the body, but as soon as you let the mind go, you're toast. As soon as you let the fatigue hit your brain and you're worried about how tired you are and how poor me, and you forget the blitz pickup or you forget the cadence or you jump off sides, that's the bigger factor in the fatigue side of the game than the actual physical tiredness, in my opinion.
Dude, the only time you're going to feel tired is like the minute you sit down after the game, because when you're in that game, your heart is racing. Like, yeah, sure, there are times where you're in 2-minute where you'll get to the line and you'll take a quick second and you'll be like, damn, I'm breathing really hard. But then all of a sudden you hear Ricky, and you're like, okay, I'm in it. I'm back in it. Like, yep.
Yeah.
And you're gone. Like, when you're on the field, there's so much going on and there's so many checks in your brain that the last thing you're thinking is, am I tired? Do I have this? Like, nobody is ever in the huddle like, I'm gassed, dude. Like, it's normally like, hey, where are we screwing up? Now, the weird thing is, you're on the field and you're fine. The minute you come off the sideline, yeah, you're breathing. All right, hold on, coach. like you just don't think about it when you're out there because you're so in like a panic mode, but an excitable mode and like a thinking mode that you're like, nothing else matters in the world right now. For the next 3 hours, 4 hours, however long this is, nothing's going to matter. Now, when you sit down after that game, I can't express to you the level of like, holy shit factor that your body is like, wow, I am tired now. And then you're like, I'm going to need like 10 minutes to just sit here. Somebody give me a Gatorade before I pass out. Like it's insane. But
and
in
then
the moment,
media, and then the media comes in
it's
with
the
microphones and cameras.
that's why you see guys so mad sometimes because you're like, dude, we just did 2 minute and you're asking me about it. And I can't even remember what we did because I am just so gassed right now. And they're like, so on that 2 minute with third down, they saw that blitz. Why didn't you guys pick it up? And you're like, I don't even know. I don't know. I haven't watched the game. I don't know. I'm tired. Leave me alone. Like, worst time to interview me. Wait till tomorrow. But
How would you assess your chances in the NFC North after that loss?
3 minutes left in the third quarter. I noticed that you guys ran a play action. Do you remember why? You'd be like, what? I don't even know who I am right now. What are you talking about? We played a game? I'm so unconscious right now. What? We ran power 35 times today, lady. Leave me alone.
It is wild that you guys, you're just like, you're being asked to be gladiators for 3 hours and then immediately reintegrate into society in the locker room and back home with your families. And then you add all these like probing media members, like idiots like me wanting to know, hey, do you feel like your season's over because you just lost an overtime game?
Right. What does this mean for your chances now that you've lost
slowly
the last
simmering? It's been boiling for 4 hours and it's still just on a slow simmer. And
I will say this. After a game, win or loss, seeing the kids, like all the kids of the family, nothing more excitable, right? Like you're super excited. The minute you see the media, you're like, God damn it, go away from me. Like just, it could be some kid coming up to you hanging on your arm forever. And you're just like, whatever, dude. It's super fun. The minute somebody comes up like, so how'd you think that game went? You're instantly like, really? Really?
I think, especially with football players, I think it's easy to, because you don't get as much access to football players. There's 53 of you on a roster. The media time is limited during the week and stuff. So it's like sometimes it's easy to forget for fans and for media. These are human beings that have lives. Oh, dude, I'll never forget. I used to cover baseball probably between my stints covering football. But I was a beat writer covering the Minnesota Twins, and I'd be in the clubhouse for 2 hours before the game, and you had all this access. And there's 162 games, and so you're just in there all the time. And I'll never forget, there was a catcher named Ryan Domit. Used to play for the Pirates for a few years, kind of a power-hitting catcher, and the Twins had him for a couple years. And he was a bad defensive catcher, and there was a pop-up in one of these innings, just straight up the phone booth, and Ryan bats his glove, and he sits underneath it, and he drops this pop-up, and it leads to like a 7-run inning for the opposing team, and the Twins lose the game. And of course, all of us media, you go down there and find out kind of what happened and how the loss happened, and you're writing stories and all this stuff. And so we all gather around this poor dude sitting at his locker, right? And he dropped a freaking pop-up to lose this game. And the other reporters are kind of looking at me because I would usually ask the first question. I'm like, you guys are like, seriously? And they're like, go, that's good.
do it.
And so he kind of like half turns around. He's like, what do you guys want? And I'm like, oh, shit. And I said, Ryan, hey man, just on that pop up there in the 7th inning, what kind of happened from your standpoint? He goes, what the fuck do you think happened? And I was like, like what do you? I mean, there's a human like you're a human being asking another human being. You just screwed up at your job and cost your team a game. What happened there? And he's like, and he said the right thing, which is go bleep yourself.
I love
he
it.
came up the next day and he apologized. He's like,
right,
I'm sorry.
but that's
I
the
was
thing.
mad.
Like, that's the thing. Like all of us at one point in time, the blood cools down, and you get out of this fight or flight mode, and you can actually think and understand. Like I get that the media has a job, and I totally respect what you guys do. Like it's important. You guys are a lot of the times kind of like the peer into the team, and the fans want to know
tell us
like
more about how
what's going on. But I do think there's a time and a place to understand, and the good journalists get it. The good reporters understand when you can press and when to push in. and when to chase something and when to understand, like, hey, let's let this dude cool down for a hot second and revisit this on Monday.
Yes.
Like, even the best of the best, Mahomes. Right, Mahomes has that huge blow up about the penalties and
Offsides,
how it's costing games, and then like, because again the blood is hot, right? You just came off the most intense, and then the next day he's able to be like, I was wrong, I regrouped. Like that's human nature, but just in a world of a 24-hour news cycle and the things that we do, like it's just hard to put that away as quickly as some guys think you can after a game like that.
Mackey, going into that, obviously you knew what the answer was going to be.
100%. Oh yeah.
Do you ask the question, if you could do it again, would you ask the
Oh.
same question?
Yeah. No.
But that's kind of you poking, right?
It
like
is. No.
when
What
you
I
guys
told-
come up to us and ask us stupid questions, like
Yeah.
right after the game, I find that
I'll tell you,
unfair. And I
that
feel
was
like
the
people
moment. That was my last year as a beat writer, and it was kind of second half of the season. They were going to lose like 95 games, and I literally decided in that moment, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be the one that is asking that question. And even like on the elevator ride back up to the press box with some of the other writers, I was ranting to them like, why does that question even need to be asked? Well, we
Right.
need the quotes for the story. It's like, I see, in my mind, I made the decision. I'm going to make a living in this industry, not needing to ask that question to that poor guy in a 96 loss season that has a family,
which
What
is
happened?
fair.
He made a huge mistake and he dropped a pop-up. Like, does he need to answer for it in the locker room after? Like, in some situations, I think it's important for players to answer for a screw up or a failure so
sure.
that their teammates aren't taken. But
The next day.
there's context involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you can't ask a guy a simple question like, hey, routine fly ball, dropped it. What happened, bud? Like the answer is always going to be the same.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
You know what
or
that
if
answer is.
It's a rhetorical question. Hey,
Right.
why did you know you jumped off sides when it was important to not jump off sides? It's like, no, I had no idea. I had no clue I was not supposed to do that.
What
Like,
happened
come
on
on.
that false start?
What happened
I
on
thought
that
it was on
false
one,
start?
stupid.
Well, that's like my favorite press conference is Baylor and BYU a couple years ago in the tournament when they're like, how does BYU out rebound Baylor?
Oh, that one was
Like,
hilarious.
and he's like,
Torian Prince.
well,
Torian
yeah, and
Prince.
he's
what
like,
you
well,
do is
what you do is you go up, and when the ball misses the rim, you grab it and you bring it back down. And they had more of those than us. Like, it's just like, you know the answer. to
that's
the
being a
freaking
smart ass. I
question,
like
man.
that. I like that.
Like, yeah,
Dude,
like
he's still
that's
in the
why
league,
if
man.
someone be like, if someone's like, hey, how did you jump off sides there? It'd be like, well, when someone moves before the ball is snapped, the ref will throw this little yellow piece of laundry onto the field and blow his stupid little whistle. And he's going to make these hand motions and announce that offsides 71. Which
Sometimes
means
it's
I
illegal
left.
procedure.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I
it's-
left before the snap was gone, and that's how I jumped off sides.
That's how
Like,
you
I think that's how,
respond.
that's how
That's way
every
better.
athlete should start responding to those. Like
Very
every athlete should start
sarcastically.
just very like matter of the fact. Like you want to be matter of the fact and ask what happened. Here's what happened. Here's a play-by-play of how this went down.
Now,
Letter
if
of the
it's
law.
Now, if it's a quarterback throwing an interception, I think there's a now he might be pissed and might not want to answer it, but I kind of want to know as a fan, as media, was it a missed route? Was it a bad route? Was it like
But
it,
they're
But
never
it's
going
hard-
to tell you.
We don't know. We don't know. You won't
and
know.
they're
until
not
you watch
going to
the
tell
tape.
you. Right. And even if they did, they're not going to tell you that the
'Cause you
receiver
have to-
ran the wrong route. That's bad.
If he's worth,
That's
if
bad
he's
for
worth the
business.
shit. If he's worth the shit, yeah. If he's
Yeah.
worth the shit, he's not going to be a bus thrower in the moment.
No,
Andrew
that-
Luck was my
like-
favorite because Andrew Luck was the opposite. You could see he had like ribs sticking out of his jersey,
yeah.
bleeding,
My
and
fault.
his offensive line. He's like, I got to be better.
I should.
Blood
He's literally coughing up blood. He's like, I should have thrown it away.
Yeah.
Hold on, give me an IV quick.
He's got a
Dude, he was.
He's got
the
a walking
baddest.
boot, and a crutch out, and he's like, I mean, if I should have just got rid of the ball in 0.4 seconds instead of 1, I mean, that free runner should have never got there.
Oh man, I got one more dumb football question from the Bachinator. The Bachinator on YouTube.
We got some good names today.
It's great, yeah. So he says we got Immortal Eagle and we have the Bachinator today. It's great. How much money would you guys have given up or given back to win a Super Bowl in your careers?
I didn't make a whole lot, so probably none.
Probably none.
I'm being honest. I mean, I made good money. Don't get me wrong. I made good money, but I never signed a huge deal or had guaranteed money. And like that money that I made in the league is what I'm living off of right now, and it's what's allowing me to build my business. And so, like, looking back on it, I don't think I would have given up anything because that was my livelihood, and I only played 6 years. And so, truthfully, like, as great as it would have been to win a Super Bowl, it would have put me if I would have to give money back, it would have put me in a much tougher spot to raise my family and do what I want to do right now, like, objectively. So, yeah. Call me selfish, whatever, but I would.
Sorry, Vikings, Bills, Chargers, Panthers fans, but Jay
He wouldn't have
doesn't
done
want
it.
your city to win.
He
a
wouldn't
Super
have
Bowl.
done it.
Sorry, doesn't give a crap about the fans, but that's fine.
If I would have made $26 million, sure, we're having a different conversation. But I did not. Alex,
Would you give any money back, Boone?
Millions. I would. Yeah,
Really?
for sure. Yeah. You have no idea how much I chased that.
checks out. That checks out though, because you made millions. That checks out.
Yeah,
that checks out.
I gave a lot for that Super Bowl, like just one ring. And I always heard Tom Rathman talking about his rings, and I always just wanted one. And he'd be like, I keep them over here, and I keep them over here. And I was like, Jesus Christ, how many you got, dude? Like, can I have one? He'd be like, I got one over here. Okay, got it.
All right,
like,
Tom, we get a guy. Yeah.
The year that we lost that Super Bowl, I was training that summer, and Kelechi Osemele came into our gym, and he had on his ring, and I would have given a lot for that ring. That thing was the most massive ring I've ever seen in my life, and it had 140 diamonds in it. I would have given a lot for that ring. I'm sorry. Like, at the end of the day, all of this is great, and it's super fun, and the journey was fun, but to call yourself a champion, I think that is the ultimate level of fuck you. No matter what anyone says to you in your life, you could throw that ring up and be like, oh yeah? Oh yeah? I don't know about sacrifice or discipline or what it takes to lead or be on a team or do all, like, because no matter what you do, people are like, did you win a Super Bowl? No. Like, oh, it sucks. Thanks.
Booney's at Kowalski's, the grocery store.
Yeah.
Did you win a Super Bowl there?
But
young
yeah, that
man?
checks out though. That checks out. No. You made millions, you'd give millions. Checks out. I made hundreds of thousands, would not give millions.
But dude, we all gave a lot. We gave literally bone and blood. Like, we gave as much as we could and gave it up for the cause. And at the end of the day, when you fall short, it sucks. It really, really sucks. Like, I know people say that a lot. You're like, oh, okay, whatever. But like, you stop after that clock hits 000 and you turn around and you're like, all the work was for nothing. You're like, that's what it equates to. Because the coaches tell you right away, hey, shitty year, go home. You're like, okay. All that pain, all that nothing. Yeah, all that film, all those notes, all that waking up at 4:30 every day you're like, that's it? Go home. You make me sick.
You loser.
Thanks. No, really, they walk you out like, you're a loser, we're losers, we need to be better. We suck.
Yeah. Find your replacement.
They don't sugarcoat shit in the NFL. That's why I love
it. There's only one happy team at the end of the year. That's it. There's only one. And then you walk back in the next year, and they've got the poster of the Lombardi in the corner of the room again. You're like, all right.
Dude, I got to be honest.
Here we go.
I would almost rather lose week 18 and call it a year than go to the Super Bowl and lose again, because there is no level of pissed offness. Because in that moment, everyone's like, you control your own destiny. And we were like, we got it. And then you lose it, and you're like, wow, I'm a shitty football player. Like, you're like, I made it all the way to the
you guys had the lead in the fourth quarter there. Did you guys kind of think you were going to hang on there?
I can tell you right now, that media had never seen a more pissed off team, because I remember when I came in the locker room, there was shit thrown everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Like, that's why it is so heartbreaking to go all the way down to the wire and be like, yeah, you're just not good enough. Sorry, you suck.
Yeah, you guys, when the lights went out there and you had the delay, how much did that affect you guys' ability to plug it back?
Crazy thing was, the lights helped us. Like, everyone thought we did that because we were down, and that's when we started to come back, and that's when everybody was like, did you guys have something to do with the lights? And I was at that point that I lost my helmet for the year. Like, it went through a wall. The lockers were getting ripped out. Like, it's rough, man. It's rough when people tell you suck in the heat of the moment at the biggest moment of your life, and they're like, you just suck. What do we want us to say? Thanks, guys.
You blew it.
Oh, that was rough.
You blew it.
That was rough.
Is your dumb football questions. Click that like button and the subscribe button on the O-Line Committee YouTube channel. 5-star rating, positive review to help us grow on Apple and Spotify. And be on the lookout for a Saquon Barkley, does he still have it, film review on the YouTube channel as well.
Silly
right.
question.
See you guys.
The juice.